Thank you, Christoph. I know most of you are already, but if the rest of you could just join us, please rise for the reading of the gospel. If you're elderly or infirm, you're excused. These are the words of the prophet writ flesh, transcribed by his servant in the days following the ascension. May they serve as the cornerstone of his church, that the blind might hear and the deaf might see. For it is not unto him to return sight he hath not taken, nor to restore hearing that hath been lost. Instead, let the blind rejoice at the sound of his voice, and let the deaf look upon his face, that they might prove their devotion unto him. And if he hath plucked out thine eye, covet it not. If he hath severed thine ear, turn thy head. For only by his pleasure is atonement achieved, and only by pain can we atone, that servant and master might be joined again on the plain dividing our worlds. For he was born not of a woman, but of the firmament, one star scattered amongst many, and his light did shine brighter than that of his siblings, and they became jealous and did conspire against him. Thus they went before their father, and said unto him, In his pride he thinketh himself more powerful than thee. And this did anger their father, so he extinguished his son's light, and cast him from the heavens. And the prophet descended unto earth, taking on human form, that he might experience humankind. For though the years of man are short, he is everlasting, and hath watched us tear down that which we have built time and again. And lo, the prophet emerged naked from the wilderness, pale skin indifferent to the sun. His hairless body exhibited not the physical manifestations of human sex, and his eyes were points of red. There came he upon his servant, drawing water at a well, and I did tremble before him, saying, Whither camest thou? Art thou man or woman, God or devil? And saying nothing, he laid his hands upon me, and lo, a peace washed over me. He then raised me to my feet, and looked within my heart, and in that moment I knew him. Then gave I the prophet drink, for in knowing him his thirst became my own. And I lifted him up, and carried him to my home, where I prepared a place for him in my own chamber. It was there that I tended unto his recovery, supplementing his strength with mine. But the body of man is imperfect, so I offered unto him my daughter, that through her he might be made whole. And although she objected, the girl obeyed and gave herself unto him. And afterwards she marveled at the things which he had shown her. And I became afraid, because he had placed his mark upon her, and she was not yet given unto marriage. So I thought to conceal her from the other members of the village, for fear they would seek out the one that had done this unto her, and coming upon the prophet, would not understand that he was not of this place, neither man nor woman. And he opened his mouth as if to explain my unspoken thoughts. No words came forth, yet I heard him still. Which of these is the head of the house, I heard him say, the man or the woman? Hast thou not proven this by giving unto me thy daughter? And he bade me worry not, and invited me to lie between him and the girl, that we might rest. And we gave of ourselves unto him, even unto sleep, where we continued our communion among stranger worlds. And when I awoke the next morning, the prophet had gone. My daughter in her sleep had heard him not. So I clothed myself and went out unto the day. And I came upon him in the village center, conversing amongst the elders. I knew it was him, though his appearance had changed. The soft features of his face had thinned and hardened. His body had grown in size and strength. White hairs adorned his chest and trailed beneath the robe he wore. I followed it downward, wondering if the ambiguous nature of his sex had also changed. Why hidest thou our learned guest, the elders said? For though he is foreign, he converses most eloquently. And it surprised me to find it so. Since the communion of our spirits, he had mastered the language of the land. And despite his transformation, he exuded a feminine air which he did wield over the men. And they began to quarrel over which of them would host our guest next, but the prophet declined, choosing instead to stay with the one that had found him. This caused much consternation amongst the elders, as I was not a person of high standing within our village. And as they grumbled still, the prophet took up a stone and threw it into a nearby pack of dogs. The mongrels scattered and regrouped, their numbers lessened. Another stone was thrown, the result was the same. Here there was only one. It had been struck by a rock and blood issued from its head, yet still it waited. It is the servant that chooseth the master, the prophet said. Though the master thinks he chooseth the servant. And I felt honor at his words, though I did not fully comprehend their meaning at the time. Thank you, you may be seated.
Yeah.